Uh-oh. There we go. Doing one of these again. Hey, everyone. So it's been a second. It's been a little longer than a second. It's probably the longest I've gone without recording a video. So I haven't recorded a video this year that's out. Like any of the videos that are out on my page were not recorded this year. I might be a little cryptic in the way that I describe where I've been because I've come to enjoy my privacy, if that hasn't become very clear with my actions. There's this really cool stand-up that Dave Chappelle does where he explains where he's been for the last 10 years or something, and how he fled to Africa or whatever. He never actually explains it, but he gives an allegory based on a book that he read, and it was really good. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I read the book of Jonah recently. The book of Jonah is a 4-chapter book in the Bible, super short. And it's about a guy who gets ate by a big fish, by the way, not a whale. Doesn't even say the word whale. It's just a big fish. Jonah's a prophet, which means that his job is to speak on the behalf of God. And so God commissions Jonah, hey, go to Nineveh and go speak to them on my behalf. And Jonah runs away. Jonah does his own thing. He actually runs to a place called Tarshish, which biblically, Tarshish is supposed to represent this false Eden. It's this place that this King Solomon guy uses in order to get gold and monkeys so he can build his own Eden. He wants to have this place filled with gold and monkeys and other animals besides monkeys. So when Jonah flees there, we kind of can assume that his intentions are the same, that he's actually going to build his own paradise and start from the ground up now that God has said to do something that he didn't want to do. Jonah gets on a boat to Tarshish with a bunch of sailors, and these sailors end up freaking out because there's this huge storm, and they go to Jonah and they're like, Jonah, speak to your God to see if he'll do something. And Jonah tells them no, actually the only way that it'll stop is if you throw me overboard, which is just ridiculous. And the sailors think it's ridiculous, so they just keep on rowing and trying every other option besides throwing him over. They throw over tea, like a true American. They throw over other cargo, and eventually it gets down to just Jonah. This is the only way, this is the only option that we've been given, is that we have to just throw over this prophet on the other side of the boat, and that would somehow help us and save us from this storm. So these sailors end up throwing Jonah overboard and praying to God that he wouldn't hold it against them. And you know this part of the story. Jonah gets ate by a whale, right? Now Jonah inside the whale comes to a place of the end of himself, in that he made an attempt to go secure a life for himself and do things his own way, and God sort of just left him to chance, and chance kind of screws us over. Life screws us over when we leave the right things, when we leave all the things that are, I guess, God ordained. Jonah found himself in a place where he actually only could go to God. He was inside the fish's mouth, which if you read the text, you get the idea that he's comparing the fish to it says Sheol, which is the grave. He's saying that he died. He basically died in this story when he was eaten by the fish, and it says that he stayed inside the fish for 3 days and then was spit out. But inside the fish, he comes to a place of repentance and really just gives his life to God and just says, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna live for you and you alone. And then the fish spits him out. Something insane about this book is that it was written over 2,000 years ago, and kind of really just explains a lot of people's situations right now, in that a lot of us are searching for this sort of Eden-like place, something to give us solace, peace, comfort, and the chase is really where we get lost. I think it's really important that Jonah never actually makes it to the place. He's actually only on the way. And then on the way there, he's eaten by a whale, right? And it's like he only ends up in the grave while working towards something. He tries to work towards this perfect thing that's going to make him feel happy. And then in the Bible, what we know from Solomon is that Solomon actually achieves that. he actually gets all the monkeys and the gold and all the women and everything else that he would ever want. And he ends up telling us that it's vapor. And the thing about vapor is that it looks like something real in the distance. It looks like something tangible. And then you go up to it, right? It's kind of like when you look at clouds and you're like, oh, they look so fluffy. And then if you were to really get close to them and grab it, you would realize that it's nothing. It would slip in between your fingers and be like, nope, I don't actually exist. And that's the Bible's way of describing this world, is that a lot of us are chasing after this thing to give us solace, and it usually has something to do with money or monkeys. And I can't help but to think of like a post-grad, like I'm gonna get my money up and own 2 cats. Like your goal is to be a millennial. Obviously, personally, I would say that social media and numbers and all that stuff that I used to really, really like has kind of lost its flavor. I've come to enjoy real solace, real happiness, real joy somewhere else. And that somewhere else is similar to what this story is claiming, right? This is actually a book written before the existence of Jesus. Well, not the existence, but the birth of Jesus. And it's quite incredible that it's creating this sort of like job description. That's like the whole point of this book, is that like there's someone that we need who can do this but better. And the idea is that Jonah gets thrown off this boat, and because he's thrown off the boat and he gets ate by Sheol, he gets put in the grave, the sailors are saved. And the sailors didn't really work towards anything. Like, there was no effort on their part. Obviously, they did try everything. Like, they tried everything first. It's usually what happens with our lives is, I tried everything before I came to God. And it's like, it's encouraging us that, like, if you do find yourself in the belly of Sheol, if you do find yourself in this grave, cry out to God, and you will be surprised. I am surprised with where my life is at right now, when I decided to put everything aside and just, you know what? I'm gonna give it to God. I'm gonna see what God has for me. And now I have purpose, which is really cool. But what sucks is that I still love YouTube. I still love, talking to you guys and having some form of way of expressing myself. And I'm still finding a way to do that without it becoming super unhealthy. I do have something that I'm working on. It's kind of like a short film, but it's just me talking to myself. Look at this, a trailer. Jesus, why'd I say it like that? That was really cringy. I have this really cool video that I'm working on that'll actually way better explain just what I went through before I, got ate by the whale. And yeah, hopefully it'll be helpful to somebody and will be a cool little thing for you to enjoy. And I might make more stuff depending on the vibes of that first thing. Or maybe I might disappear and just enjoy my life and stop trying to inflict suffering on myself. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching this video. I love you guys. Thanks for watching this, even after a year of me just not being here. And yeah, I just hope you're doing well. Join my Discord. The link's in my bio if you want to join. And yeah, I don't know if I want to shout my Patreon out because it's really embarrassing because I don't make content for it, but I have a Patreon. And yeah, see you guys. Love you. Bye. Peace. Man, that was sick.